May you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Christopher. I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised in Denmark, and I've lived in Dubai and London as well.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's start with common stereotypes about your country. Can you reveal most common stereotypes about Denmark?
Yeah, I think the first one is probably that all Danes are happy all the time, and of course, like any normal people, we have challenges and difficulties, and yeah, so we're not happy all the time.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, of course, we're happy as well. And I think the second one is probably like some people think Danes are very reserved. So when you come to Denmark for the first time, people may seem a little bit cold. But then when you start talking with people, you understand that they like to socialize and meet new people.
So now let's a little bit talk about political system in Denmark. I know that in your country, this is the oldest monarchy, almost oldest monarchy in the world. So could you explain overall about monarchy and democracy in your country and how it combines together?
Yeah. So basically, our queen's name is Margrethe, and she was born in 1940. So she's above 80 years old now, and she's been our queen for 50 years, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the oldest sitting queens in Europe, at least. And a funny tradition is actually when we get a new prime minister, they have to go inside and speak with the queen, and the queen has to give them permission to become the prime minister.
Yeah, so the monarch and the government, they, the monarch should approve government, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. And do you see you see this process on TV, or this is closed for the people?
You don't really come inside when they go inside to talk to the queen, but yeah, normally they stay outside and film everything.
I understand. So the people like to see it, or
Yeah. Some people love to see this. They even show up in front of the castle and just watch everything that happens.
I guess it's interesting to live in monarchy.
Yeah, like the funny thing is because the queen has no real power. It's more like a, what can you say? Yeah, like this figure you have in front of the country. That's She has no real power, but she's still like people look up to her and really admire what she's doing. Yeah, so actually we just had the election yesterday for our government, and basically the thing about our monarchy is that it's, I think, more a branding thing. So it's maybe used for branding and yeah, for other countries to know what Denmark is about. But then our political system has 179 members in the parliament. So basically, in order to form a government, you need to get elected with 90 members.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So normally, I think the biggest party this time was like 50 members. So you always need like other parties to help you form. Yeah. So another thing I would add regarding the political system in Denmark is that one prime minister can be a prime minister basically for a maximum of 8 years. And no matter what happens after 8 years, this person cannot become the next prime minister. So it has to change at least every 8 years, and there has to be an election every 4 years at the latest. And the funny thing is, one thing you normally see is that some parties, when they are very in the center of the political system, they sometimes force the government to issue the election, basically, because they want to gain more influence and really, yeah, see if they can get more votes.
Could you tell me what is the main religion and main languages or dialects in your country?
Yeah, so it's Protestant, which it's almost the same as Catholic, but a little bit different. And the main language is Danish, which is very hard to learn. You probably know that already. And dialects, I would say, if you're on Zealand, that's the island of Copenhagen. There's almost no dialect. So, but if you go to Jutland or Bornholm, then it's very hard to understand people.
I understand. Now let's talk overall about your life in Denmark. Could you highlight positive and negative sides, and also in your explanation of your life or overall, can you try to cover all aspects from economic to taxes to safety of living to the medical system and so on?
Yes, so Denmark is very small. It's mainly made up of islands and like peninsulas, and yeah. So we have about 6 million people in Denmark. And the thing about Denmark is the standard of living is very high overall, I would say. So regardless if you have a very short education or long education or what type of job you have, you're still able to earn some money at least. So I would say that's probably the first positive. The second one is probably there's a lot of equality for women. So don't really have oppression of female rights and stuff like that. A third one, yeah, I would say that it's probably the minimum salary is very high in Denmark. So even if you're a blue collar worker working on construction sites and stuff like that, you still get about 2,500 euros per month. So that's quite good. And in terms of the negative, I would say it's probably regarding the taxes. So the taxes are very high, and you have to pay at least above 50% in Denmark. This is a lot, yeah. But then you get like school and hospitals and universities for free. You both get like preschool and regular school and university. You get all that for free because of the taxes. So that's very nice. And actually, until you're 18, you get the free dentist as well. Oh yeah. So a downside of living in Denmark is probably that cars are so expensive. So you almost pay like 3 times the price without taxes for a car in Denmark.
Yeah. So what you do, you buy cars from outside of the country and then you ride it to your country?
No, but then even if you buy it outside of the country and then you import it, then you still have to pay the tax when you want the number plate.
So what does it mean? Like it's a lot of bicycles?
Yeah, there's a lot of bicycles and almost very old cars and not very expensive cars.
I understand. Yeah, but it's the city itself. It's small, or its distances is big.
Yeah, Copenhagen is very small, so you can bike everywhere, I would say. But if you live in Jutland, then it's harder to just use a bike. But yeah, if you live in the capital, it's you don't need a car actually.
Also about pension system. Could you explain a little bit about pension system?
Yeah, so basically when you work at any job, you automatically pay a part of your salary to this pension fund called ATP. So basically when you retire around 70 years old, then you get this automatic pension paid out every month.
So it's only in 70?
Yeah, only when you turn 68, then you can get it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very old. But then when you turn that age, you get the automatic amount of money each month.
I understand.
Yeah, I think one thing more is actually if you get unemployed in Denmark, you still have a sort of safety net where you get this amount of like automatic money even if you're not working from the government.
Could you name the main sports for Danish people, and which sport is common to do in Denmark?
Yeah, so I would say the most common sport is football, definitely. And I think that's why, because football is very popular in Denmark, so every child during school or during even university and in the spare time as well, they play football.
I understand.
So actually we did quite well as well in the European Cup last time, where we almost reached the final.
So the football is good in Denmark.
I think we've become very good over time. But yeah, it's been popular for so long.
And common people are usually active in Denmark. They do sports. They do a lot of activities in sports, or they more home sitters. Home sitters.
I would say most people in Denmark are very active. So most people are doing some sort of sport or fitness or running or some sort of activity. I don't really think we have that many like obese people in Denmark because people are so active all the time.
And for skiing, you go for the closest countries, like neighboring countries.
I would say normally we go to Norway, Sweden, or France. So a new sport that's actually come to Denmark very recently is called paddle tennis. So it's basically tennis, but in a smaller version. So if you can imagine tennis, but just like the court is half the size and the racket is closed instead of these open. Yeah, so that's very popular in Denmark now. And I think it came from Spain or something like that.
Yeah, I saw it somewhere. The court are small, like small room.
Right.
Exactly, yeah. I think
Famous?
at least like half of Denmark is doing it, I would say.
Could you explain about geographical position of Denmark, about climate conditions, and also about which neighboring countries do you have and which seas?
Yeah, sure. So Denmark is located just north of Germany and south of Norway and Sweden. And it's quite cold. So at the moment it's about 13 degrees. In January or February it starts to snow as well.
And it's windy, yeah?
Yeah, it's very windy all the time. So we have a lot of windmills. And I think one of the biggest companies producing windmills is from Denmark, actually. It's called Vestas.
And we didn't mention also about seas. Which seas do you
That's right. Yeah, so we are completely surrounded by seas. So we have the North Sea on the west side of Denmark. So that's basically between England and Jutland, we have the North Sea. And then between Sweden and Zealand, we have what we call Østersøen. So I think that's actually one of the longest bridges in Europe connecting Denmark and Sweden. But other than that, yeah, we're completely surrounded by sea. So it's a lot of Danish people used to be sailors and fishermen.
Yeah.
For example, for people from the countryside and from the capital, how life is different and what usually you just say that for some people it's fishing, but can you tell lifestyle for a capital also?
Yeah, I'll say if you live close to the capital, it's mostly like white collar work. So it's people working in offices and doing more, I would say, computer work. Compared to if you go to Jutland, it's more farmers and manual labor in a way. So if you want to see a lot of animals, then you have to go to Jutland.
I understand. And can you, in the summer, you can swim in the seas? There is beaches, resorts, or not? Or it's cold?
It's not really resorts. We only have beaches. But yeah, it can get above 35 degrees. It actually got up to 36 degrees this summer.
Oh, it's hot.
Yeah, so I think like all days when swimming when this happened.
Let's talk now about nature of Denmark. Could you tell me which flora and fauna you can find, which animals surrounding Denmark, and maybe which areas do you have, for example, like mountain area?
Yeah, sure. So Denmark is very flat. I think we have like, it's not even mountains. I think we have like 2 hills or something. That's like 100 meters tall.
So you don't have ski resorts, no?
Oh no, that's impossible. impossible. But you can go to Norway or Sweden if you want to do that. Yeah, so basically Denmark is a very cold country. So our nature is really mostly forest, with mainly pine trees and oak trees and different types of trees that can really handle this cold weather we have. And regarding the animals, it's the animals we have inside these forests are mainly small animals. But if you go to southern Jutland, you can actually see a wolf sometimes.
Yeah, I understand.
Maybe foxes?
Yeah, there's some foxes as well, yeah. We have foxes, yeah.
And how many months in year there is a snow? There is a lot of snow in your country, or?
I think we have snow, like, if we're lucky or unlucky, depends how you see it. We have snow maybe 1 month a year, 1.5 months a year.
So it's not that long.
No, it's more rainy than snow, I would say.
Could you explain about legend of trolls? While preparing for the country question, I was finding something about trolls and legend of trolls. You have something about this. Could you explain?
Yeah, it's a fun story actually. So it's these very small troll dolls. And basically the guy who produced these the first time, he got awarded this prize, like I think it was like 3 or 4 months after he made them. And it was called the Toy of the Year in Denmark. So right after that happened, people started calling them good luck trolls, because it's never happened before that a guy just got this prize like out of nowhere.
And could you explain about national parks that you have in Denmark?
Yeah, so the one you mentioned, the Thy National Park, I've never been to that place, but if you want to see like very beautiful nature of Jutland, then you can go there. And I would say in general, the most beautiful nature is in Jutland, in Denmark. So regarding the northern part of Jutland, I've been to Skagen a couple of times before. And this is actually a very good place to go if you want to go to a summer party, and really it's a tradition for people from the capital to go to Skagen during the summer just to party. So the local people of Skagen really hate this period, and they normally go on vacation some other place when this happens.
But there is what? There is musical festivals or just clubbing?
Yeah, there's everything, I would say. So both clubbing and public, just music all the way around the Skagen. So it's just one big party town when this happens.
And this is usually in summertime, right?
Yeah, in summertime.
Could you explain about Black Sun? Black Sun is actually just when I did research, it's just like a lot of birds in Denmark, and it's very beautiful. Could you explain where it is and what the seasons when you can see it?
Yeah, sure. So it's in Jutland, the southern part of Jutland, and it's this very big flock of birds that you just see, like it covers the entire sky, and I think it can be up to like 1 million birds migrating.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
And when you can see it?
Normally you can see it in spring and fall. So in spring it's because they're coming from the south, and in fall they're going back again.
Denmark ranks one of the most country with one of the most happiest people in the world. Scandinavia's country most happiest. I don't know why, but could you explain this phenomenon and why people in Denmark rank as a happy people?
Yeah, so I think it's something to do with people are very content with what they have. So they don't really chase in the same way of getting more and getting better and all this stuff. So I think it's because people are very content with what they have. So they don't yeah, they don't really pressure themselves into this like American dream, you could say.
Mhm. I understand. So you mean that comfort of living in Denmark, it's like comfortable to live and you don't push yourself to get more because you're already good.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just very nice to live in Denmark, so you don't really have to push yourself beyond your limits in a way.
And could you explain meaning of word, if I say it correctly, hiji?
It's called hygge.
Hygge.
So basically it means like being cozy and really enjoying other people's company. So it's normally something that happens when it's more cold outside, you could say. So like, for example, imagine you have like a fireplace and people like gathering around this fireplace, and yeah, just really a good feeling and enjoying other people's company.
So, for example, you can say to your friend, like, let's hygge.
Yeah, exactly. And they know exactly what you mean.
It's very fun, very cute.
Talking about celebrations and holidays in Denmark, could you name most important celebrations and holidays, and how do you celebrate it?
Yeah, so I would say the most important ones are probably Christmas and Easter. And I think, yeah, actually doing both, you normally meet up with family and have a Easter lunch or Christmas dinner. So during Easter, we normally like eat salmon or lamb or yeah, this type of stuff. And you always have this small chicken standing on the table as well. So that's a tradition as well. And during Christmas, I would say, of course, we dance around the Christmas tree. And I think it's the US who does the Christmas celebration in the morning. So we do it in the evening instead and dance around the Christmas tree and open presents.
Yeah, I understand. Could you name some other traditions that you have in Denmark and maybe some superstitions?
Yeah, so I would say there's two very funny ones. The first one is when it's New Year's, we normally jump off a chair.
Jump off the chair?
Off a chair, yeah. So basically, right before it gets to midnight, like all Danish people normally stand on a chair, and right when the clock hits midnight, we jump off this chair because otherwise it brings bad luck.
Oh. So if you jump, it's good luck for whole year.
Exactly, yeah. And the other one I would say is when you're single when you're 25. Yeah, so if a person is single when they're 25, their friends will normally take them into the street and cover them completely in cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Cinnamon, yeah.
And what does this mean? It brings like soulmate?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to then bring them luck to find their next soulmate, I guess.
That's fun.
So basically, in June, it's a tradition to gather around this bonfire, where we basically have a doll that looks exactly like a witch. And then we burn the witch, and then it's normally we have some fireworks or something inside of the witch, and it flies.
Oh.
And it sounds exactly like a witch.
And what does this mean when you burn the witch?
Yeah, I think it's because normally in the old days, some people thought that we had witches among us going around.
Yeah.
So this was a way to really scare off these witches.
Yeah.
So from old ages, it's still nowadays you burn the doll.
Yeah, now we just burn a doll instead of like a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually back in the day, they actually used real persons for this.
It's interesting. And this is specific days for this, or
It's in June. I think it's the 25th of June or something. So if you don't really understand what's going on in Denmark sometimes, it's because we have these old traditions.
So talking about food, traditional food in Denmark, could you tell me which food is common for every day for Danish people, and maybe some traditional food and drinks that is not that common, but it's traditional?
I would say the most common one is the open sandwich. So that's basically rye bread with, for example, roast beef or salmon or different types of toppings onto the rye bread. And then we have this thing called stegt flæsk, which is basically fried pork. And then we serve with potatoes and a sauce as well. And I think it's actually only in Denmark as well we do this, because normally when we have the election, we eat this dish right before the election is decided.
Why? This is like
I think it's a tradition again, yeah. Yeah.
And what is the common drinks, traditional drinks?
I think the most common one is, of course, beer. And most Danish people, I would say, like wine as well, and like going out clubbing. So it's probably drinks like, yeah.
I understand. And in Denmark, there is a good beer, or?
Yeah, I mean, Carlsberg is the most famous one. But I would probably say Tuborg is better.
And for people who is from outside of the Denmark, could you tell me how perfectly person could fit in Danish society? Maybe how to act or speak, or what to always like think, or how to live to be accepted by society?
I think the first step would, of course, be to learn Danish.
Oh, it's important.
I think that's a very important step, because some other, like the older people, don't really speak that much English. So if you want to really integrate into Denmark, I would say learn Danish. That's the first thing. But it's very hard to learn Danish, so it takes a long time. And actually, our princess, who met our prince, they met, I think, like 20 years ago or something, and she's still not completely fluent in Danish.
Oh. So it's really difficult.
It's very difficult, yeah.
And the pronunciation is hard. I can see it.
Yeah. There's some words that's very hard.
Yeah, it sounds very cute, but it's very hard to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So you would say that most important thing is to learn Danish to integrate into society. What's something else?
Yeah, I think the second one is probably learning to enjoy Danish food. And especially going to a lot of Christmas lunches and really learning our traditions, because we have some very special traditions. So I think that's important as well. And then, of course, just understanding Danish history and where we come from and all this sort of things.
Talking about Danish people in general, could you name me and explain common portrait of Danish person? Of course, it's all generalized and your own opinion, but in general, just say specific characteristic or characters that Danish people has.
I think it's the same actually as the stereotype regarding Danes. So like if you come to Denmark for the first time, you'll see some people, maybe they are in their own world and they seem reserved in a way. But then when you get to know people, they really open up very quickly. And they're very good at socializing and meeting new people.
For Danish people, family institutions are important, or they're more self-centered and like oriented to work and career than to family?
I would say family is very important in Denmark. And I would say most people, they see their family at least once a week. And if not, then at least once every week. They go to some sort of family event. So yeah, I think Danish people really like to spend time with other people. And I think that's again something to do with the hygge thing.
I understand. And what age people usually get married in your country?
Oh, it varies a lot, I would say. But most people around 32, 31, 32.
Now we're going to talk about love and relationships in your country, in Denmark. Could you tell me and highlight positive and negative sides of dating person from Danish person, and maybe what can be beneficial part of dating Danish person and what could be a difficult part? What could be a difficulties about maybe personality or lifestyle?
Yeah, so I would say the positive thing is, I would say most men, they treat women with respect, and they see them as equals. So don't really look down on women in the same way that some other men in other countries might do. And I would say normally they're very well mannered. They really take care of their partner in a way that, yeah, I think that's very special to Denmark. Yeah, another positive thing is they normally lead a very active health, like lifestyle is very active. So I would say normally they don't really get bored in a way because they're always doing some stuff. But regarding like downsides, I would say a lot of Danish men are very like career focused. So like normally they need a partner to help with the like home and kids and stuff like this.
And you think that for some women who wanted to also do the career, it can be not much.
Yeah, because like when the woman wants to do career a lot, they have to sort of mix it in a way.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of employers have become very good at allowing people to work from home and sort of doing this mix between working in the office and home.
Let's talk about a little bit about beauty standards in Denmark. Could you tell me what in Denmark people call beauty?
Yeah, I would say there's really been a movement of really looking at beauty as more values and beliefs rather than looking at physical appearance and whether a person's slim, overweight, or normal build or whatever. I would say more and more people try to look at like what sort of values and beliefs people have. And I think this really also translates into fashion brands. That's starting using like models of all like sizes and heights, and yeah, they don't really discriminate that much. It's very normal to see very different types of models for fashion brands.
And the last question is, could you name places to visit in Denmark? From your opinion, where you should go if you come to Denmark?
So I would say the first thing is, of course, to visit Copenhagen, and then you have to visit the Queen. Have a look at where she lives. Yeah, it's called Amalienborg, and it's very central in Copenhagen. It's right in the center of Copenhagen.
But you can see the Queen herself.
No, you cannot really see her, but sometimes she comes out to say hello as well.
The wave.
Yeah, the wave, but you can't go inside and have a look at the living room and stuff like this.
Yeah, this is interesting.
And of course, you should visit the Little Mermaid. I think a lot of people know Hans Christian Andersen from Denmark. So that's the fairy tale story about this mermaid.
It's go from Denmark.
Yeah, that's from Denmark.
So you have this statue of mermaid.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a very small statue, so maybe the first time you see it, it's a little bit disappointing in a way. But it's funny because you see all these Chinese people who there's always like at least 100 Chinese people around the statue. And other than that, I would say you should visit the Skagen, definitely, which is the northern part of Jutland. And then I would say try and visit some of these small islands in Denmark. And especially the one called Samsø, actually where my grandparents used to have a house on Samsø. It's very beautiful as well.
And there is a nature place, like.
Yeah, I think it's one big nature when you go to these small islands.
NFT view. So we will see NFT from which section you will get, because there is unique, ultimate, rare, and rare.
Yeah.
Rare art.
Rare, yeah.
So I will send you a link where you can see all arts, and you will pick one that you like, and I will send it to you.
Okay.
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped. We finished. So thank you very much for participating. It was very nice to talk with you.
Yeah, and you think you learned something new about Denmark as well?
Yeah, definitely. The most impressive one is about which.
Yeah.